I'm Nate Chisholm. My book is Savannah, subtitle yet to be determined, YTD. And yeah, I just got signed with Ben Bella. And um, yeah, so um, where do we go from there?
So
So yeah, go ahead.
when you came into BPA and in the fall of 2024, no.
Okay,
Anyway, you came into BPA and you came in with a big idea,
right.
right?
Uh-huh.
Tell us a little bit about that idea and tell us how long you've been working on it.
Right, okay. So, really, this has been like this idea is a decade or more, right, in the making. And, what I want to look at, explore, is how the human habitat, savanna, has influenced our development as a species, influences our day-to-day life right now, and has sort of imbued the modern world with the structure that it has, right? Like we are ecological creatures, of course, all creatures are, and when we lost our habitat, it had a lot of big impacts that impact you just about every moment of every day. So yeah, that's the big idea. And coming into to BPA, um, that was kind of getting a little old. I mean, it was like this big idea that's been slowly building and slowly evolving, but it didn't have any momentum really. Um, I haven't I had written a lot of things, and they hadn't really gone anywhere. Um, I had even queried before. I had never gotten any real serious interest, including I'm pretty sure that I queried both of the agents that ended up offering to represent me. Um, and I haven't mentioned to them that I think that I queried them in the past, but yeah, for whatever reason, it felt like nothing, but in the previous time that I queried, felt like nothing had happened. And this time it felt like things had happened. Lots, there was interest, even the people who didn't all, the people who didn't offer me representation all still said, you know, they said it was just a totally different experience, right? They all said, this is really interesting. I can't take it right now. I look forward to reading this book. It's going to be a great book, but it's not really, not really in my wheelhouse. That it was just and that didn't happen last time, before BPA, before I went through the program. Um, there was there was none of that kind of interest. So yeah, it was just um, it was it was what people say to not let happen, to let the idea kind of languish, let it go stale and let it be something that you're going to sometime maybe do someday. That's how it had been. That's how it had become. And so I was kind of determined to, keep the momentum, because that's, in a lot of ways, that's one of the things that BPA does, is it makes you feel like you're writing. It makes you feel like it's the real thing. And then you can take that energy into the pitch process. And it gives you confidence in it. And it gives you confidence because you learned some important things about actually doing it and actually writing. So yeah, So that's what it was like before. And now suddenly somebody paid me in advance and they're gonna publish it and it's gonna be out there in the world and it's not gonna be a someday maybe thing anymore. And now I'm dealing with all the next problems of like, oh man, but that's positive, you know?
Yeah. It's so great and super congratulations to you for going through the process, committing to it, doing it, going through all the growing that happens. And I'm curious, what was something that surprised you about the process?
Yeah, some things that surprised me about the process. Um, well, some of the things you said that Joelle said, um, just really would not have occurred to me, you know, in 100 years, like that I should do that. And some of them, yeah, I was just taking her word for it. I didn't really think it was you know, I don't know. And yeah, I was saying earlier to Joelle, like my agent left almost all of that stuff in. Like all this stuff, like there was a whole lot of stuff in there. A big percentage of the proposal was stuff that I would not have thought to put in there. And my agent left it all in. And you know, like we nitpicked and tweaked on some things and but all those things that I thought were like, really? Is this really what needs to go in there? She left all that stuff in. And yeah, they you know, it, it worked, or you know, like lots of people thought that it worked. So it's that was a surprising part. You know, it's surprising how long it takes.
Mhm.
It's surprising how long it takes because you've got to kind of like drop into the mindset. And so now I'm kind of in the place where I've got to write the book in the same amount of time that wrote the proposal. Um, and maybe that's how it goes because like a lot of the subterranean and neural connections, or I don't know what exactly is going on. Whatever it is, it has to relate to Savannah somehow. But whatever is happening, you know, like a lot of the foundation has already been laid, and with you know the chapters working out the how the chapters are going to flow, working out the hooks, working out what the idea is in a condensed way, so that you know all that sort of stuff. So let's see some other things that that were surprising. Um, I think, you know, that always surprised what what you can do when it feels real. And that's another thing that BPA helps you do is like, okay, this is a thing that feels real. People in class, you know, believe in it. And I wrote all this stuff. There's no way that it's ever gonna come together as a chapter, but then at the end it does. So yeah, just the part of the process that's where you're tapping into just sort of like deeper what deeper knowing, or you're using all the parts of your brain. Those are surprising.
Yeah,
Those are surprising.
for sure. And what would you say to someone who is considering doing the program?
I think that if if you've if you've got a book, a nonfiction book that you want to do, then it's just sort of a no-brainer, honestly, because um, yeah, it's it is a big, huge barrier to get into it. It's a big, huge barrier. And this, at least for me, in my experience, I've got, I've got two different samples to draw from,
Okay.
this really helped get over that barrier. And, now there's a certain amount of it it's downhill. So I really think that, yeah, the everything that was put into the program was, it was really worth it to get it off the someday maybe list and to launch it.
And
Yeah.
to get it onto the publishing list, now you
Yeah,
got a
exactly.
publisher.
Yeah, exactly. And to like, and then like all the mental space now that is, instead of being tied up in something that's sort of stagnant, is going into to building it and to making it
Exactly.
some, like, yeah, just getting other people who are confident in it and all that sort of stuff. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's worth a lot. It's worth a lot.
I think of it because I've been through this with so many people. I think of it as, in a sense, an author boot camp, but I don't talk about it like that because of how it is sort of a rewiring and education of what being an author actually is. And now you have the proposal, which now that you're like, oh no, I have to write this book. Now you have all those chapter summaries done, and
Mhm.
you have this roadmap ahead to guide yourself in the process. So,
Uh,
like you said, this is taking the barrier away to entry, and it's also giving yourself a hand going into chapter writing. And
exactly.
when it's time to talk about the book publicly because it's published, it's also a guide for that part of it too. Like, you know how to do it now. You've had this training, you've had this rewiring, which is all in support of the author and your vision for the book.
Right. Yeah. It's, like the I think the holdup, the real reason that you wouldn't do it is because it's scary, to take the next step and to go out there and to put your resources of time and money behind this, because then if you feel vulnerable, but that's just the only way, it's the only way. You gotta yeah, there will be no book if you don't feel vulnerable about it. And this is like the best little container to get over those early
Yes,
problems. Like, you don't want to be trying to figure out, like, you don't want to be coming to an agent with those early vulnerability things, that's not
exactly.
the time. The time is with a group of people who are doing the same thing, and with somebody who's gone through it before. So
Exactly. Exactly. A safe container that still feels vulnerable. You're coming out with your idea and getting responses is exactly the time and the place to be vulnerable. And when you get to the agent, you want to say, here I am, here it is. It's done.
yeah,
I'm a good
yeah.
bet. I'm a solid bet for you. And as you
Mhm.
experienced, that's how they respond when they get a proposal that's really been
Uh,
thought through and written and revised, and everyone's just more prepared to go forward. So everything happened for you pretty quickly, which is what we hope for. You did the
yeah,
program, you got your agent at a time of
yep,
year. Generally, people suggest not getting an agent at Christmas time, and then you
yep.
have a book deal come the spring. It just boom, boom, boom. Totally works.
Yeah, I did it. I don't know. Maybe I should have done it differently, or I don't know. But I applied just because of when BPA got out. I didn't want to go back to that place of it being on the shelf. I
Yeah,
didn't want to wait 3 weeks. I felt like the momentum. I felt everything, so I just did it. I figured I can. redo it if I need to. And I got my agent called me on December 26th, you know, and so that was the first time I'd ever heard from her, and that was the meeting. And so it was yeah, I don't know, like maybe her inbox was more empty than usual, and so she stood out or whatever. But I know that the fact that she called me on December 26th made me know, like, well, this person works. So,
That's right.
but anyway, yeah, just it got that out, and then yeah, we went through a lot of rounds of revision. Really, she really did work on it, on just a few little parts. But the vast majority of it just got passed on right as it was. And and then 2 weeks later, you know, I had, you know, a meeting with the publisher, and here we are. I've got the
That's
contract in my inbox to sign.
it's
So
so great. So
yeah.
exciting. It's such a great achievement. So good.
Thanks. Thanks. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I am excited.
Um, do you want to tell us where you are located and what you do for a living?
Yeah, I'm in Kenya, and it's getting dark here.
I
Maybe I
know it's
should.
getting dark. You're fading into the darkness.
Yeah. I should- The light's not turning on, so we won't turn on the light. I'm in Kenya, and it's not always this dark in Kenya, but I'm a rancher. And yeah, my whole thing has always been to use grazing animals, wild and domestic, to mimic the sort of herbivory patterns that used to exist all over the world, including here in East Africa, and still do here in East Africa where I am. And so, yeah, that is where I am. That's what I do. And now, thanks to BPA, I also write about it. So,
And you're now an author.
um, yeah,
That's really
I'm an author. I can say that now without people being able to say like, oh yeah, sure you are.
it's real. Well,
Mhm.
I'm so thrilled for you, Nate, and I'm so excited for your book to come out and just really proud of everything you've accomplished so far and everything to come. This is just the beginning.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you once again.
Absolutely. So hold on one second.